Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the very first installment of Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. In this new series of videos, we'll be covering all things guitar, from the instruments themselves, to amplifiers, to effects, to accessories, to interviews with artists, to tips to help you play better and to get the most out of your equipment. We've got lots of great things in store. Let's get started. The guitar I'm holding is a Gibson ES330. Now this is a recreation, a reissue if you will, of the original 1950s ES330. During the Summer NAMM show I was invited to the Gibson Custom Factory. They gave me a tour and also showed me how they went about recreating this instrument, and it's a pretty incredible story. The head luthier talked to me about how they measured every single aspect of the guitar down to the finest detail, so when they rebuilt these new reissues, they look, they sound, and they feel exactly like the originals. In fact, they had an original there and I was able to compare the reissue with the original, and the differences between them are just minor. They're really the same guitar. It was very impressive. Now because the body on the ES330 is fully hollow, it really resonates and it makes for a very lightweight guitar. That resonance carries from the body all the way through the mahogany neck, so it's really a live sounding guitar. It feels great when you're playing it. It doesn't have a center block the way a 335 or a 345 does, but it still has very good sustain. It sounds great acoustically, and when you plug it in, you get all that richness from that extra resonance. It really sounds great through an amplifier. The pickups in this guitar are slightly underwound P90s. Now the underwound part of it means that they have slightly less output than a regular P90 might have, and that's a good thing in this case because it really lets the tone of the guitar come through. You're not pushing that high output and driving your amplifier to where it breaks up too early. Instead, you're getting the natural tone of the instrument going into your amplifier, being made louder, and then when you add overdrive to it, again, that richness, that sustain, and all that articulation really come through. This guitar goes through a plec process before it's released from the factory. That means that it's placed into a plec machine, which is a computer-controlled machine that does all the fret dressing and sets up the action. It plays incredibly well, no buzzing, lots of sustain, but the action's very low. It's a really comfortable guitar to play. It has a nice round back to it, not too big, sort of in between a late 50s chunky baseball bat size and the slimmer 60s, right in the middle there. A little bit of a D shape to it, but it's very comfortable to get your hand around whether you're playing low or farther up on the neck. If you're looking for a guitar that steps just beyond the ordinary, the ES330 is the one you should check out. By adding that hollow body resonance to the electric sound, you get a richness that you just can't get from a solid body instrument. For blues, for country, for jazz, just about any style of music you might play an electric guitar on, this instrument works really well. Every guitar player, bass player needs to be in tune, and that's where our accessory comes in this time around. This is the Snark tuner. It's become one of my favorites. I actually own 5 of these. I keep one here in my office, I have one in my practice space at home, I have one in my studio, and I have a couple that stay in different guitar cases and travel around with me. I use it all the time. It's probably the simplest tuner I've ever had, but it works really well. To use the Snark, you simply clip it onto the headstock of your guitar, push the button, it lights up, and when you pluck a string, it gives you a color indication of where you're at with your tuning. If you're straight up like that, you're obviously in tune. Very simple, very easy. It automatically switches from string to string. Oh, my A string's a little bit out there. Works with both guitar and bass, and it actually has a hidden feature. If you push this little button up on top, it turns into a metronome. And then you have 2 buttons on the side that allow you to adjust the tempo as well. So it's a handy little gadget to have with you. Very affordable, under $15. Like I say, I own 5 of them. It's well worth having several that you can have in different guitar cases, in your practice space, your rehearsal space, in the studio. You can never have too many Snarks, in my opinion. Whether you're using a Snark or any other tuner, it's of course very easy to get your guitar into tune. But there is actually a proper way to tune, whether you're doing it by ear, using a tuning fork, or using an electronic tuner. Now the big thing is that you want to make sure that you tune up to pitch. What happens if you tune down to pitch is you may have some slack in the string and it'll go out of tune. Let me show you what I mean. So in this case, my A string is way out of tune. It's way sharp. Now if I tune it down to pitch, I should be in tune there. When I play, particularly if I bend, you'll see that I actually end up flat. That's because there's some slack here in the string, and as the guitar is played or you bend a string, you stretch the string, you pull it below where it was and you end up with a flat string when it should stay in tune. A better solution is to actually drop down below the pitch and then raise the string up until it meets the pitch that you want it to be at. There, we're in tune. Now we can bend, and we're right in tune. I hope you've enjoyed this inaugural episode of Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Please join me for future installments of Guitars and Gear. We're going to have a lot of fun, we're going to talk a lot of guitars, and we're going to make a lot of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.